financial field. But what we lack in proximity, we make up for in film study. And each and every week, we'll be bringing you in depth film breakdowns from across the pond and the Sooner State. Welcome to On the Shane page. I'm your host, Shane Haff. Give me a follow on Twitter at Shane Haff NFL. I'm also joined by BGN's own film guru, Jonny Page. Give him a follow on Twitter at JohnnyPage9. Jonny, how are you doing this evening?
Yeah, I'm good. Is that 2-3 losses in a row? We keep breaking down.
3 in a row, yeah.
Yeah, so if you think you had a fun experience watching the Eagles, obviously Monday night's late for you guys. I haven't actually told anyone my experience on Discord or anything, so I'll give you a fun story. I woke up at 5 a.m. To watch the Eagles, which was early considering my sleep has been horrendous. And then about 10 past 5, I'm sitting there watching the Eagles, and I can hear this beeping. Long story short, my fire alarm decided to just like malfunction. So I had to listen to the whole game, not just having the Eagles make me hate them, but listening to a beeping sound above my head every 10 seconds. So I think by about 6:30, I was ready to go completely insane. And then I thought, it's all right. It's going to be a good comeback. We're going to win in the end, and it'll have all been worth it. It was not. I'd been much better off getting up at 6 and not watching the game. So I've never had to watch a game. I had my headphones in. I had noise cancellation. It was loud. It was it was just malfunctioning, and I didn't want to wake everyone up by testing it and trying to remove it and setting it off. So I was just like, it's not waking anyone else in the house up. The last thing I'm doing is waking up a 9-month-old because I'm mucking around. So I'm just going to sit there and deal with it. But yeah, weird game. Frustrating game. Very frustrating game. I think, full disclosure, we're going to talk way more about the offense this week because Monday night games suck for work.
Yep.
For both of us. We lose an entire day's work. And the defense, I'm very nearly finished. Very nearly. I'm like halfway through the fourth quarter. But the offense is where the talk is this week. So we'll do a very big stint on the offense and then do a little bit of a quick stint on the defense. I take it we'll use the same format as last week.
Yeah, well, hopefully with better internet from you, but like we kind of talked about last week, we wanted to try to make this a little more free-flowing conversationally, and that didn't necessarily work great last week because Johnny's internet was awful. Hopefully that seems to be working better today. So
fine as things stand, so we shall see.
So we're just going to try to sort of talk through some different things we saw offensively and defensively, and like Johnny said, much less defensively. I was able to watch the Jalex Hunt film to record the player spotlight for Patreon. And I noticed some things from other players like in that rewatch, but it was looking specifically at him. And I haven't had time to watch the rest of the defensive film yet. Hashtag short weeks suck. But we're going to do the best we can. And like Johnny said, pretty much everybody wants to talk offense this week anyways. And so that's probably where the majority of the conversation was already going to go. And so we will throw up clips for Johnny's. We'll shout out the number they are on the thread. Mine aren't numbered and threaded, but they're all on Twitter. And so if you guys are listening on audio platforms, you can go find those if you would like, or you can watch it on YouTube or Patreon if you would like to see what we're actually talking about too. So
yeah, and I think we'll disagree a little bit this week for the first time. Maybe. We don't disagree very often because I think we see football in a very similar way, probably because we spoke about it for so long together, even before we started doing this, just online. But I think you were probably more negative of the offense. I mean, I watched it after you, and I was a bit like, oh, I sort of like this. And then I try not to read any other people's stuff, but the Discord was like, oh, Fran Duffy agrees with you. Oh, what do you call it? Sean Syed is also being quite positive. And I see Greg Cosell today saying it was the best Eagles passing game of the season, and I'm thinking maybe I was onto something. But what makes this game so weird is that the frustrations are like so high to me in this week. Like the bad stuff is so bad. There's a couple of plays that are like so bad. I know you broke down in the past game review. And I also did see a comment, I can't remember who it was from, but from a guy I like online who mentioned that like no surprise that the former QBs and past game gurus like this stuff because they did more of the stuff that the schematic nerds like. And I was like, oh God, am I one of them now? I've always been about, I don't care how we win. I don't want to do stuff just because other teams do it. I think you can win in a basic game with Hurts. But yeah, so where do you want to start? Do you want to start with the interceptions? Do you want to start with a general philosophy of how the game went? I sort of want to separate the passing game and the running game. So
Yeah.
I think because they're so distinct in this offense, because there's
Yeah,
no
they
point.
don't go together at all.
They don't
So
go together at all. There's a little bit of play action pass game stuff, which was good. Yeah, where do you want to start?
um let's start pass game because I feel like that's what most people want to talk about. And where people are coming from on the positivity stuff I get, because there was some design things that I thought were good. Like there were more flood concepts in this game. There was some more like play action passing that made sense, more crossing routes, like a lot of those things. But it then you just also have randomly horrific concepts that they just keep calling, and that's where I just continue to go back and forth. Like there's some cool one-off designs, like they did a empty where they faked a half, or they faked the quarterback run and then actually passed it. That was cool. They did a pony personnel throwback play that was pretty cool. They did a bootleg play out of empty where they threw it back across the field that was cool, but nothing really built off of that. And so I know where you're going to go, being like positive on things, and I saw some of those things, but overall, like a lot of the stuff still just doesn't make sense to me. And one of the ones that, I mean, we can just go to like, oh, actually, let me share my screen. That'd be helpful.
I was going to say, I think, yeah, this game sort of depends on how you look at things. Do you look at like the positive trends, or do you focus on the bad stuff? I try to take a more positive view this week because I can see good stuff. Mm-hmm. But I think, if anything, the good stuff highlighted the bad stuff as being really bad.
Yeah.
So
let's go through some of the bad, and then let's go through some of the good. I was going to say,
why don't you do some of the bad? Because seeing as you were a bit more negative, I think, in general.
Okay.
And then maybe I'll counter it with some of the stuff that I liked more. And I'm not saying you didn't like the same stuff as me, but you know what I mean, for the sake of the show.
Right.
You take some of the bad, and then I'll take some more of the good stuff, let's say.
Okay, so let's go to this play. This is the first play of the game. And so the Eagles had 10 days to figure out how they were going to change this offense. And they come out, and their first play of the game, they come out in empty, and they motion Saquon Barkley, so they have a 4x1. You can't see, you can kind of not see super well. And now my little pin's not working. This is great. Let me restart my pin. I'm as prepared as the Eagles offense was.
Pen game.
Great. Okay. So they motion Saquon Barkley to get to 4x1. Now, there are good reasons. Like, I love going 4x1 because you put the defense in a quandary. Like, nobody in the NFL is covering A.J. Brown one-on-one on a slant route, right? Especially when you couple in double moves and other things that you can run off of that. And so when you go 4 strong, you're forcing the defense to either push their coverage to the 4 strong side and leave A.J. Brown one-on-one, which is what the Eagles want you to do because they don't think anybody can cover him one-on-one on a slant, or you give help there, and now you're at a numbers disadvantage on the other side. Except the problem is the way the Eagles run this, you can actually do both. And so they run A.J. Brown on the slant route. A safety pretty clearly pre-snap is telegraphing that they know this is what's going to do. So we've got 2 guys covering A.J. Brown. It's not going to be there. What the Eagles do on the backside to take advantage of having 4 guys is they just run 2 little sit routes that go right to coverage, a flat route, and then a corner route against an outside leverage defender that is just not even close to conflicted. And so, like, you can watch this play out. A.J. Brown's not there. And so this is where Hurts has to go with the ball. We have a curl route right to defender, a curl route right to a defender, a check down to the flat with a guy closing, and a corner route going into double coverage. And so this isn't a one-off thing, right? The Eagles run this same concept 2 more times in the game. Like, they just continue to spam this, and there's so many things you could do to fix it. Like, if it's me, if I see this look from a safety that is so obviously biting down on this slant route, why don't we run like a sluggo and throw this ball deep? Or why not, instead of running 2 curls, just run this off? And then we've got a flood concept, which the Eagles ran some flood concepts. And I mean, you could even run like a poster. Like, there's so many things you could do to dress this up, but the Eagles offense is like, we think you're going to leave AJ Brown one-on-one, and if you don't, we're screwed because we've got no other follow-up. Like, they run it again later in the game. This time they isolate Dallas Goedert, and again, watch how the Chargers play it. They are all over this slant. Now, it turns out to be like a whip route, or maybe this is just scramble drill, I don't know. But there's nothing else there. It's Dallas Goedert win this route or bust. There's nobody else to throw this football to. And there's a third time that I'm not seeing in my comments here, but there's a third time they ran it more out of a 3-by-1 with the running back in the backfield, and it was the same thing. And so many times they just don't have things built in. You go to the 3rd and 4 on the first drive of the game when the Eagles go empty again, which I love empty. But I said watching this one live, like you can't see the receivers watching it live, but I already knew what routes they were running before the snap based on alignment. Because anytime you get A.J. Brown, like stacked with another receiver, this is going to be a wrap in every single time. And then on the backside, they're just going to run spacing because it's all they do. And there's no possible way that you can progress from the wrap in to the spacing. It's just not going to happen. And so just run something different. Like, they're so predictable in a lot of these things that they do. And procedurally, they get to the line so late. It doesn't give them time to get into better looks. They condense a lot of times, and they don't really do anything with it, which allows nickel blitzes to come in more easily. But this is probably one of the more egregious ones. Like, Johnny, if you look at this pre-snap, what coverage do you think this is?
This is the worst stuff. It's as two-man as there's two-man as ever. Two-man.
This is the most clear as day cover 2 press man look you will ever see. And what the Eagles run against this is at the bottom of the screen, they run 2 hitch routes, don't work against press man. At the top of the screen, they run a hitch route, again, doesn't work against press man. And they have Jahan Dotson running up the seam, where even if he beats his guy, he's running directly into a safety. And, like, where is Hurts supposed to throw this ball? Yeah, this is a bad ball, right? Yeah, he sails this. Maybe there's a window you could just throw an absolute dot on this seam bending in. Barely. Like, there's
the spacing's rubbish as well.
Yeah. So this is the kind of stuff that drives me insane. And I acknowledge there's some cool things offensive design wise, and we'll talk about some of them. And so there's some cool things that they do design wise in this game. And Hurts made a few good throws. Here, let me show. Actually, I'm going to show 2 more. So
that's what I was going to say. You haven't even showed the screens. The screens are the ones that were the worst, in my opinion. Anyway, these are the ones that are indefensible.
Yeah. So 3rd and 11. This is at the end of the game. The Eagles throw the screen.
I don't even think they think this works. I think this is just we basically want to throw the ball and then kick a field goal.
Yeah.
Like,
so
they're not trying to complete this. There's nothing you think can work here.
Right. So there's nobody in the middle of the field. This is just a super clear cover 0 blitz look. Maybe they're bailing guys off the line, but there's nobody deep, right? And so what they run is a screen pass where A.J. Brown doesn't even block. He's just running off. And so for this play to get a first down, Devontae Smith has to catch this and break 2 tackles to get a first down. You're telling me that's the best you can do against 0 pressure? Like, why don't we get A.J. Brown out wide and have him run a slant route because he's going to be out of the window where a defensive tackle or an edge rusher can bail off? Like, you could even, we saw the thing a week ago or 2 weeks ago where it was 0 pressure and they threw the corner route to Devontae Smith. Like, you could even, like, you're hot here if everybody comes, you could even just keep Dallas Goedert in to block, right? And hit this corner route with a slant underneath. Like, there's so many things you could draw up, and they just go to this play. And yeah, Devontae Smith drops it, but honestly, that only matters for clock purposes. That play had 0 chance to pick up a first down, and you can't say we're just trying to run the clock because you threw to the end zone the play before, which I have no problem with. Go score and win the football game. Yep. But that one didn't make sense. Then this is the last one I'll show, and then I'll let you talk some more. What is this design? Like, the Eagles are going to run 2 vertical routes within like 3 yards of each other straight up the field. And then you get a dig route from A.J. Brown. AJ Brown is open off of the cut. But Jalen Hurts is reading the two vertical routes that are looking directly at each other. Like, what? I don't understand what we're doing. I almost feel like one of these guys had to have run the wrong route, because there's no way you dial this up. Look at these guys; they're just running right next. One guy could cover both of them, and so the design is still pretty bad. You'll notice, like, a lot of the cool designs you're going to talk about, I noticed were on like first and second down, and a lot of the crappy stuff that we've been seeing was on third down or high leverage situations.
Yes.
I'm telling you right now, there was either a different play caller on first and second down, or it was a different play sheet. But something was different, because all the cool stuff happened on early downs, and the same old crap we've been living in all season happened every third down.
People are going to get this. So shout out to Dennis Salzman, who, as always, is the best and is much better than Steve Maurice. He tweeted, first and second down, we threw 18% hitches this game. Season average is 23%, so lower. Third and fourth down, 39.1%.
Oh, wow. I hadn't even seen that.
Yes, Shane. 39.1% of hitch routes on third down. Just really weird is we were only second in the NFL this week, Shane, of course, by Kellen Moore and the Saints. So all the stuff like maybe we ran loads of hitches last year, it's all Jalen. You can't just ignore the fact that the offensive coach from last year is doing it with his new team as well. It's just a horrible coincidence. If Kellen Moore didn't run a single hitch route this year, we'd go, all right, it's a quarterback. But the guy who was there last year also ran them all the time. And that doesn't even mean that you can't say it's Sirianni, because I'm like, Kellen Moore's doing it away from Sirianni. They were at 30% plus this week, the Saints in general. And by the way, Shane Steichen was the fifth highest. So former, Eagles coach. So yeah, that's pretty mad to me. First and second down, 18%. Third and fourth down, 39%. So you are bang on. A lot of good stuff came on early down. I don't know if that means, Shane, different play callers. All I'm going to say is I'm not going to spin the positive, because you saw it's bad, right? There is a lot of bad in this game. When I'm looking at the film, I can't remember the game it was about 2 weeks ago. It was when it was, in my opinion, it was like the worst. It was the Twos, a team that plays press man all the time. What was the game plan? It wasn't the Cowboys. It was the Packers.
It was the Lions.
Packers or Lions? I think it might have been the Packers. No, it was the Lions. Yep, because it was the Packers game plan that I wanted the Eagles to run. That, to me, was the worst game I've ever seen of an Eagles offense, design-wise. I liked about two things, and everything they did was exactly what you wouldn't want to do against that team. That, to me, was the ultimate bad game. The thing about this one was there was some really good stuff. Greg Cosell called it the best passing game design of the season, and I tend to agree. We saw way more four-strong concepts, and which Greg said as well. It sounds like I'm repeating his analysis, because I read
which would be cool if they did anything on the four-man side of that.
I will give you that, in that four-strong is just one of those things that scheme guys can go, aha, four-strong, but four-strong can be done in lots of different ways. To me, it wasn't just about that. It was about the fact they flooded zones this week, which they haven't done all year.
Yeah.
I'm going to just show a couple of plays of things that I really liked. So if we look at play 6, I think it's the first one that I really like. And this does build off the run game, so we'll talk about this. But under center play action, which we know we've wanted to see. 2 vertical routes. One more like a sort of like a deep post type thing. And then hit AJ underneath. And by the way, we can just stop talking about Hurts throwing to the middle of the field now. We can stop it. He can do it. He's not Matt Stafford. He's not hitting backside digs. But all the data suggests he can do it when they ask him to do it. I don't know if he wants to do it. I don't know if he's consistently going to do it well, but he can do it. It is something they can do. So this was the kind of stuff I liked. This to me is the stuff that we didn't see earlier on. That's a good 4-strong concept, by the way. That's a proper concept, because they're really spreading them out. I always say, really basic analysis, Shane. If you pause the routes at the top of their, sort of in before Hurts releases it, this is really basic film watching 101. But I always say, you sort of want plays that stretch a defense horizontally and vertically, and receivers that are quite well spaced out. The spacing maybe could be better if the vertical route was a bit quicker, but by the time he catches it, they're relatively well spaced out. They're stretching them in the flat, they're stretching them vertically, and then they've got the intermediate. So that ticks the boxes of stuff that I like to see that we weren't doing earlier. But this was not an isolated incident. They ran a lot more. If you go to, I tell you what, we'll get into the turnovers in a second, by the way, because we'll do the turnover second. If you go to play 9, and once again, this is lovely. Once again, under centre play action, this is just a flood concept, but Devontae Smith's motion actually has a little bit more purpose for once, because it gets him going down the field so he can draw the cornerback out. How many times this year have we not seen them stretch that corner? AJ Brown comes from the other side of the field, which always makes it harder, I think, to cover, because it's much more difficult for the cornerback to see a receiver when they come from that far away. Sorry, not the other side of the field, I mean from condensed. What he does is he runs that sort of Dallas Goedert style, fake the crossing route and then bend it back out. So the nickel corner or the corner inside or linebacker almost thinks that he's running inside. So he leaves him, he lets him go. Again, nothing revolutionary.
You get Dallas Goedert releasing through the line of scrimmage too.
Yeah, cool. Maybe not through the C gap like other teams do it, but they did this quite a few times. This was a really nice play. And there was more. Like my favorite one actually was not any of them. I think it was play 15. I actually thought there was one other that I was going to show that I can't. For some reason, I can't see. There's one other that I liked, which was like a post-cross wheel. We'll get one in a second, actually. Let's show this one first. Is this Jalen Hurts' best throw of the season?
Yes.
Like, pause this, Shane, when he releases it.
Also,
pause it exactly as he releases it, and you will see, as QB School would say, AAA anticipation.
I'm going to show mine because you get the back view, too.
Yeah, the back view's cool as well. That is a ridiculously good throw from Jalen. But also, the classic, he can't read a defense. Well, there's if you look at the safety, he reads, I'm pretty sure it's Tampa 2 very early on, but he reads Derwin James turn around. He knows where he's going. It's a really good read. The Chargers have this weird free safety defense, and Derwin James does this weird thing where, look, free them in the middle of the field. So they're hard to spot. Pre-snap, that route possibly isn't open, but the second he sees Derwin James turn to the other side, he knows he's got it.
You actually get this guy, the bottom corner is bailing out. And so it's
they run some really funky coverages, the Chargers. And by the way, shout out me in the preview. I called that their secondary is unbelievable. I think it's really good. Really good. I had a nice comment on BGN today saying that my preview really helped someone watch the game because they felt like they understood the defense. And I was like, that's helpful because I feel like I do as well. And then play 5 was the one I meant to show. They ran some rollouts. They ran some designed rollouts. So you'll know this play. This is post-cross wheel with a tight end leak from Pony Package, Shane. This is cool. Pony Package, play action, run to the left, you get the post, you get the cross, you get the wheel, and then you get the leak. That's good. In terms of expansive passing concepts, it was the best. And I think we need to get into the turnovers before we talk for too long. What I really, really hope, Shane, that Sirianni and the offensive staff don't do this week is they get back in their hole and they go, do you know what? This is why we can't be expansive. Because when we're expansive, Hurts turns the ball over. Because when you look at the turnovers, they were not on this expansive stuff. I think one of them was. The AJ Brown one was partly because of what they're running. That was the only one. And that was also half a drop, half a tight window throw. Yeah. But the amount of tight window throws that Hurts made in this game, I don't say he didn't play badly. Hurts obviously played badly. He turned the ball over 4 times, and you can't do that. And as much as we talk about, not being too conservative, you obviously can't throw 4 picks. And the one where he threw over Dotson's head, I get that wasn't even picked. I get you might be annoyed at the offense and you might be forcing it, but that's Jameis Winston aggression. That's bad aggression.
Yeah.
But overall, and Brett Eclipse coming, that's what they're going to do.
Yeah,
maybe they will, but all I would say is that Nick Sirianni had more of a role. And I don't know what role he had, and I don't know who he asked and what happened, but this was not the same game plan that we have seen before. And anyone says that it was the same hasn't watched the film, because it was very, very different. And it doesn't mean that I'm optimistic, by the way, they're going to get it together. I know I put on the Discord and Patreon yesterday, hot take, they might get it together. I'm not saying they will, but what I am saying is there is an opportunity for them to do better, because I think the plays are there, the design is there. Now they've got to stick to this, not change, increase more under center stuff, and hopefully we'll see some changes. I put this, last thing I'll say before we do the turnovers as well. I put this in the Discord. If Hurts doesn't make 2 horrendous throws, and AJ Brown catches 2 of the 3 tight window throws, just 2 of the 3, then I would argue that this game has a very, very different feel to it and a very different narrative online. And that was just 4 plays different.
I will see your positivity and raise you a 3rd and 6 curls to the sticks in overtime with nobody open.
And what down is it, Shane?
3rd and 6.
Is there something there? Is this a real thing we're talking about? Did they have a different play sheet? Was it different stuff? Was it?
I thought that watching it, and now that you dropped that Dennis Selman tweet on me, I'm like, oh yeah, I'm cooking. There's something definitely going on there. But
should we do the turnovers quickly, and then we
let me quickly mention one other play we're not going to talk about. Actually, 2 quick things. One, Adam asked about the AJ drop at the end of regulation. Should AJ have caught the touchdown pass, or was that a great defensive play? My answer is yes. It was a great defensive play, and AJ Brown absolutely should have caught it, and you expect him to 9 times out of 10. Do you have a different take on that one?
So are you saying that you're not blaming AJ?
No, I'm blaming AJ, but I'm also acknowledging it was a good defensive play. It was a good defensive play, but AJ should have caught it.
80% AJ, 20% defensive back.
Yeah. And then the other thing I want to mention is the pony bootleg throwback play. So the play directly before that, they went pony personnel because they're like, we can't just have one play. We run out of pony personnel. And then they never went to it again the rest of the game, which is my other problem, that everything cool is a one-off.
Yes. All right. I agree.
And not the base fully. Offense still sucks and is hitches.
But yes, I think we've said this, haven't we, for a bit, really, that I put this in Discord as well. Is it play design or is it play sequencing? I think this week it was sequencing. The design stuff was better half the time. This season, I felt like design's been really bad. I think this week design was better, but I think play calling is an issue and sequencing is an issue. And maybe the menus, this is going to sound bizarre because people think the Eagles don't do anything. Maybe the menu's slightly too big. Maybe there's too many voices. So someone wants pony, someone wants under center, someone wants more gun, and then you just get stuff that gets ignored. The run game, I'm less positive on, by the way. I'm less positive about the run game. Pass game, I'm talking strictly a bit more positive about.
All right, well, let's talk the 4 interceptions, run game briefly, and then we'll get over to the defense. So,
yeah, do you want to do our lovely who do you blame?
Yeah, let's do it. I'll let you take the lead on interception 1 and 3. I'll take the lead on 2 and 4, and we'll go from there.
All right, sorted. Hurts 90%, design 10%. So the Eagles go empty. I hate the concepts at the top of the screen. I hate it. It's just, isn't it? Remind me, it's just a go and a curl or something. Yeah, there's nothing. A slot fade works if he's in press man. He's miles away. So there's nothing there. So what you're now asking Hurts to do is eliminate his first 2 reads, which we know is Hurts someone that can read front side and backside, Shane. Is he? And again, people think I'm always defending Hurts. Matt Stafford can. I don't know if I run an offense where I want Hurts to do that. I think I'd rather run a system where you give him one side and say stick to it. And you can say that I'm mollycoddling him, I'm babysitting him, whatever you want to call it. I don't love the design. You can see him have to go left to right. And then he feels pressure. And yes, Jahan Dotson's open, but Dotson is his fourth read on a 3-step shotgun drop. Is Hurts capable of getting to his fourth read, going 1 to 2 to 3 to 4 from empty, knowing the ball's got to come out because he's facing pressure? And I think he just panics and doesn't see the dropping defender. And don't get me wrong, it's a bad play by the QB. 90% QB should see him. 10% design, though. I still don't think the design helps him.
The design's terrible.
Yeah.
Again, there is
but
nobody...
it's still a bad QB play. It's a bad play. Yeah.
There is nobody in the middle of the field. And so the only place... Everybody's going to be one-on-one. The only place there can possibly be help is if guys drop off the line. And so you run your first 2 reads, nothing over the middle. And then your third read breaks over the middle directly where help could be. Like, there's nothing there. Why? This would be a great time to run crash, right? This would be a great time to run crash or a post or anything over the middle of the field that's not 3 yards downfield. So it's a bad play by Hurts, but the design's just really bad too.
Yep. Talk about the second.
All right.
Let's go through them, or we're going to be all day.
Interception number 2. I don't even remember what it is now.
It's the hitch.
Oh, yeah. So
on 2nd and 10. Dun, 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 dun.
Yeah,
the theories are wrong.
This is classic. We just run all hitches and flat routes, right? And I love that Grant Calcaterra chip blocks the edge rusher, who then just nobody touches the rest of the way to the quarterback. So we chip blocked an edge and then don't pick him up. And then just watch the corner is just sitting on. He is. Does this look like a guy that's remotely threatened by you going vertical? No, because he knows you're going to run a curl route, a hitch route. So he's sitting on it. I think Hurts is late, right? This ball should already be like halfway there. So Hurts is late. But also, does Devontae Smith look like a guy that thinks the ball's coming his way? He doesn't break back to this.
We're not allowed to say this, by the way, but I don't think Devontae Smith actually played particularly well in terms of a few routes in this game. The post he ran earlier on in the game, he got nothing downfield either. I think the Chargers DBs were pretty good against him, to be honest.
So I'm going like 20% Hurts for being late, like 40% design, 40% Devontae's route.
Yeah. One thing I find really interesting about the previews this year, because I mentioned them a lot because I've never done them before. I've never been a film preview guy. It's first year I've ever had the opportunity. And the reason why I haven't wanted to do it is, in all honesty, I always felt like it was going to take too much time and I'd never get a feel for a team. I feel like it's easier than I thought. I don't think it takes long, actually, to get a feel for a team at all. I got a feel for the Chargers very quickly, and I said, terrible matchup for this Eagles offense. They have to do things differently, like flood zones. If they run hitches, and I even showed an example on Patreon of Dante Jackson jumping a route, and I literally said, if the Eagles run hitches like this, he will jump it. And he did. Saw it coming the whole way. Yeah, let's go to the third. This is the...
it's the one that goes.
Yeah, this is an interesting one. I go back and forth on this. I must admit, live... and this, by the way, you want to give the old Eagles conservatism, turnovers win games type thing. You want to play that card. They're winning by 3 points. There's 11 minutes left. Is this a time to be aggressive over the middle? Not saying I'm Team Sirianni about being all conservative again. I think maybe this is too aggressive. So design-wise, I don't hate it. I think Hurts is slightly too aggressive. My gut was live. It's a hospital pass, Trevor Lawrence style. This has to be something that Hurts doesn't throw. When I watched it back, I keep going back and forth. I think the problem is he's high. The problem is he needs to go low. But when you watch the other angle, like the first angle, it looks to me like the opposite, is it corner or linebacker? Remind me, is dropping away to that side of the field. So I think they could do a better job stressing him, maybe like something in the flat to keep him out of the way in general. So a little bit of design. But I think Hurts sees him dropping to his right. And I think he thinks he's got this. But I think it ends up being a bit of a hospital ball. I still think AJ Brown should catch it. Oh, I don't know. 10% design. 50%. 40% Hurts. 40% AJ Brown and 10% time and place. I don't know. It's a tough one. What about you?
You're parsing it out. I would say this is like 30% Hurts, 70% Brown. Like, it's a little high, but also you're a star wide receiver that's been complaining about targets. Catch the ball.
Yeah.
So I get it. But also, what do you think about this? Somebody said to me, and I don't think, well, I'm not going to tell you what I think. Somebody said to me that they think Hurts is actually trying to target Devontae on the post.
No.
I didn't think so either. I think it's behind Devontae. I think you could target Devontae on the post for what it's worth. But yeah, I'm saying mostly on Brown for that one. Catch the football.
Yeah. So I agree. As in the about the posting. Yeah, I don't think they're throwing that.
All right, so let's go to the last one. You guys have seen this. I went into this one quite a bit on my past game review in Patreon. I have since heard people talking about maybe this not being an RPO. So let's talk about it as if it were an RPO first. So the Eagles leave Khalil Mack unblocked. You get Dallas Goedert to the flat. You get Jahan Dotson on the corner route. Why Dotson? Well, this is actually something they did in this game. I wanted to mention earlier and I forgot, but that wrap in that he throws in overtime that you said was his best throw of the year, who do they always throw the wrap into, Johnny?
Dallas Goedert or AJ Brown, most likely.
And do you remember who that one was to?
What one? Sorry.
The one in overtime that you said was his best throw.
Devontae Smith. Wait, no. What are you on about?
Yeah, it was Devontae Smith. So
I
They
was like, you're
always
confusing
run
me
this.
because it wasn't those two.
Yeah, no. So here, this is always Devontae Smith, and they changed it up
is.
and do Jahan Dotson. So I do think there's a little bit of tendency breakers. I don't hate that, and this isn't Jahan Dotson's fault. This play doesn't work, by the way. But so they're leaving Khalil Mack unblocked. You're reading him out. If he attacks the mesh point, you pull it, and now you're bootlegged out. You can run, you can throw. If he doesn't attack the mesh point, you hand it off, and at that point, you've got 5 blockers, double teaming 3 offensive line or defensive linemen and working to 2 linebackers. So you've got 5 on 5. Khalil Mack does not attack the mesh point.
Yeah, by the way, can I just say, I love Sean Syed, big fan, message him all the time about Eagles film stuff. I think this is an RPO.
Yeah, if this is an RPO, this is a give. You have to hand this ball off. And if you watch it from the back view, like...
Look at the blocking.
Yeah, So Sean said, and I love Sean, and I'm not taking shots at Sean. He's great.
As good as it gets. As good as it gets. And I like hearing different opinions because it makes the thing interesting.
It looks to me like he's looking directly at Khalil
I
Mack.
think so as well, yeah.
So I think Hurts should be handing this off here, and look at the push that you have. And you're going to have, and the best part is, number 0 is even following this out. So you've got 5 blockers on 4 guys, right? You're about to work to a second level here. You've got room to run. So if handing the ball off here is an option, this should be a handoff. If handing the ball off isn't an option and this is a play action, every person that had any say in the offensive game plan should be fired tomorrow, because calling a bootleg into a 13-year NFL vet with multiple All-Pro appearances seems like a really stupid way to play football. But regardless, I think Hurts should hand it off. I think it is an RPO. This is still open, right? Now, it's a great play by Cam Hart, but if you put this on the pylon, this is a touchdown and you win the game. The reason Hurts can't put it on the pylon is because he's fading away, jumping off his back foot, right? And he gets a fingertip on it. If this is to the pylon, it's game over. And
it's still too aggressive. In my opinion, it's too aggressive.
See, I don't think it's too aggressive.
Down, Shane, time and a place.
If Khalil Mack's not there, this game is over. I don't think it's too aggressive of a throw because Mack's in his face and he's fading away.
Yeah,
if Mack bites down on the handoff of the play fake, do you fault this throw? Would you rip this?
First down, would I? I guess I want to be more aggressive. First down, overtime and field goal range. Nah, I don't know. I'm okay with him turning that one down, I'll be honest.
I'm going to be pretty grumpy at my quarterback if he turns this one down, to be honest.
Yeah.
Because I'm not saying you can put it to the pylon where only your guy can get to it, and maybe you slightly overthrow it, and I'm fine with that. Don't underthrow it. But I think this one is either 100% Hurts for misreading it, or it's 100% design if it wasn't actually an RPO. But I think it was an RPO, so I say 100% Hurts.
Yeah, and I think just to generally sum up, because we're spending way too long on the past game, but this is what people want to hear this week, I think. I think there was a clear push from Hurts this week to be far more aggressive. And I think losing early on made that a thing. And you know what? I think it's tough when you've been very conservative all year and suddenly you're trying a lot of tight window throws. I think they got the balance wrong at times. But I think that's part of life, really. When you're still trying to figure things out in week 14, that's a problem. Or whatever week we are, 14, 15, I lose count by the time we get past 6. You're still trying to figure things out, and the offense is still trying to learn what they're good at. Like the defense, we sort of know what it's going to do at this point to an extent. You know some of the weak links, you know some of the ways to beat them, you know their strengths. The fact is, the offense doesn't have an identity yet. And actually, I think that links really well to the run game. Because I think this team has always wanted to be a shotgun team because they run Jalen Hurts, and from the shotgun that makes sense. I don't know what to say about the run game in terms of not running Hurts. They just don't do it. So if they're not going to run Hurts, then I think they should go more under center. I'd commit to more under center offense because the shotgun running game, you got the stats, you posted them to me in Discord. The shotgun running game in this game was atrocious, and it wasn't just the numbers, it looked bad. They get 0 push. Guys don't know what they're doing. It's just as bad as it gets. The under-center stuff was good. They run more duo. They get more double teams up front. Saquon looks better. The offensive linemen look better. I think the runs are less predictable in terms of what it's going to be and where it's going, which helps the offensive linemen. I think we have to accept the O-line's just not that good this year. I think Steen doesn't get any push in the run game. I think he's very good in pass protection, by the way. And the Eagles will have an interesting dilemma with him in the offseason because his pass protection is really solid. And there's a lot, you could do a lot worse at guard. But Dickerson and Jurgens don't look healthy to me. And I don't know what's up with Jordan Mailata, to be honest with you. But I think you can see the signs. If you commit to more an under-center run game, you get Lane Johnson back. I think you can see the signs of a running game that could go somewhere. But yeah, the shotgun run game in this game was appalling. But I think they want to throw from the gun more. And this is when I talk about what do they want to be as an offense. They want to be a gun team that uses the QB run game a lot and runs a lot of RPOs.
But they
don't
don't
want to be an
use the
under-center
QB
team
run
that hits
game.
middle of the field, play action. Like, what does a team want to be? That's what I'm really interested to see next week.
Yeah.
Or the rest of the season, I guess.
Yeah, then you get into stuff like this. This drives me insane. This was in the fourth quarter. And so it's not that all under center runs are good, because they're not. Where they're at their best is like when actually, let me just show it. Where they're at their best is when they like run duo. So they get double teams on the tackles or on the defensive tackles. Say we're getting double teams, we're getting displacement.
This is when
we
they're
work
good.
to the second level, we get outside. Like, that's where the under center run game is really good. Where the under center run game is really bad is when they go 12 personnel, right? And every time they do this, they're going to use They're going to use Grant Calcaterra on counter.
Oh,
right?
this is the counter one, yeah. Counter with Calcaterra and Steen is like, I don't know what I would say.
This
You're
is
putting the worst two guys.
Twice in 4 or 5 plays, I can't remember, in overtime, they run their two worst run blockers, Tyler Steen and Grant Calcaterra, as lead blockers in counter. No movement, nothing happens, and it's just dead plays. And so they need to throw that out of the playbook. They need to throw Grant Calcaterra off the team and try something different.
Latu, Cooper, whatever. Yeah. I can't believe there's not a blocking tight end on the market. Honestly,
they have one. They don't use him. Cameron Latu, put him out there.
Yeah, but even I don't know if he's like I feel like there must be someone out there who's a free agent who can just block. Basically a 6 offensive lineman. That's already got sound the run game. I don't have much to say this week. I don't get where the QB run game is. By the way, there's a play in this week which I didn't tweet out because I'm already accused of being positive. There's a play this week where Derwin James had a free shot at Jalen Hurts, and Jalen Hurts just juked him and ran for like a 4-yard gain. And I was thinking, like, for all the talk of Hurts, is he still the same runner? Blah 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 blah. Like, Derwin James is a really good athlete, and Hurts was getting away from him. Hurts was pretty easily getting away from him. I just feel like he clearly can still move. We've seen scrambles of late where he can. Just the team needs to make a decision what they're doing with him as a runner. Yeah. And I don't get it. My theory all year was they were saving him back for the playoffs, and when the season mattered, we're well in that stage now. That stage is long gone. So,
I disagree.
What, as in you think they could still be saving him for the playoffs?
Well, no, I don't think they're that smart. But I disagree that if that is what you're going to do, I would continue to do it, because you are not getting the 1 seed. You are not getting an advantageous playoff seed at this point after this collapse. But all you have to do is win 2 of your final 4 games against the Raiders and the Commanders twice to secure the division. I would not start running Hurts a lot right now and risk his health when you're pretty likely to make the playoffs anyways. So take care of business against some bad teams and unleash it in the playoffs. The 1 seed's dead, so I don't think you can chase that. So I would probably continue to not use Hurts much as a runner in the regular season, but I better see that turned up to a 10 in the playoffs. That's at least my thought.
Yeah, fair enough. I would almost want to get, like, I don't say I want to see it on film, but just see a couple of clips. I can feel like, oh, they could do that more. But who knows? Like, just practice it from a game point of view. Like, can they block QB out the bash still? That kind of thing. Just get reps. But, right, let's do a very quick defensive section. And I'm going to just be honest on why I've been lazy this week. No, I haven't been lazy. Why I've been lazy talking about the defense, because I haven't had time to watch it all. When I previewed the Chargers, when I say the offensive line is as bad as you'll ever see, like, it's rough. It's really rough. And I really struggle sometimes to judge how good you are when a team just has such an obvious weakness. The
Right.
offensive line was a disaster, and the Chargers, that is. And on top of that, they got a QB who's got a broken hand, so he can't even really create the same way. So I expected the defense to dominate, and I'm struggling to give them too many of their flowers in some ways. Yes, they played very well, so credit where credit's due, but I really do think this Chargers offense was severely handicapped. But still, there are some things I wanted to talk about briefly. Do you want to do the interesting thing? Because if you're not on Patreon, number one, why not? We do a player spotlight every week where we watch. I mean, I don't do this. I do the preview. But Shane and Eric watch a player and just watch every single snap of him and record it. And it's really interesting because you always learn more than you expect to about other players as well. So from rewatching Jalix Hunt this week, which is what the listeners voted for, what did you think of him and anything else you saw?
Yeah, so I did not watch the entire defensive film. I only watched the Jalix Hunt snaps. And I was specifically watching him and talking about what I saw, but I didn't, notice things from other players. And I was pretty much just watching from the end zone view as well, because the coverages weren't as relevant to that video. I knew that the Eagles just destroyed the Chargers' lackluster offensive line. And so I just expected, as their leading sack getter, Jalix Hunt, to have been a big part of that. He had 2.5 sacks, 5 pressures, 5 run stops. And I watched the game. And I think in the entire game, there was only one rep that I would chart as a decisive win for Jalix Hunt as a pass rusher. He really didn't offer anything as a pass rusher. Now, what he did do and where he got a lot of his sacks were other guys getting pressure, and he did do a good job of recognizing he was past Herbert, and instead of continuing to try to run the arc, he would work back up field, and it would end up being where Herbert saw a hole and was trying to scramble to. So that's good from a gap integrity standpoint, and obviously it kept him around the ball. He ended up with 2.5 sacks, but as a pass rusher, I thought he was really lacking in this game. Every snap, he just tries to run the arc, or he tries to bull rush through the tackle's chest. I would love to see him. He needs to get some kind of counter move. There was one time he tried a swim move, but start throwing a swim move more, work on a spin move, something, because it seemed like everything was just sprint around the corner or try to run through the tackle, and it just didn't work. So like I said, good job, gap integrity, working back inside, and all of this I talk about on that video if you want to watch every snap with me. I will say he was really good as a run defender. There was 1 or 2 plays where he gave up contain on the edge, and one of them I was unsure whether Zach Bond was supposed to replace him. I'm going to guess Hunt was wrong, but I wasn't sure. Another one, I'm pretty positive Hunt just tried to go inside and make a play and got beat to the edge. But overall, he was really good as a run defender. He had a good coverage rep where he was used as a dropper, but surprisingly, despite what his box score said, I didn't think he gave much as a pass rusher.
I feel like he might be the ultimate. The PFF numbers are really different to the film when you watch him.
Yeah.
Sometimes football's not complicated, and who pops when you watch a game? He rarely pops to me when I watch.
Uh-huh.
And then Jalen Phillips to me pops. There's a run play in this where he chased down backside, and he looks so quick, and I was like, oh yeah. And then I go on the numbers, and I'm like, oh, PFF have Jalen Phillips with 9 pressures, all right, and then Jalix Hunt's got 5, but Jalix Hunt's got 3 sacks on PFF, and his numbers on PFF, and you're just like, wow. And 5 stops Hunt had, but then you don't see it in the same way. And I think Hunt's perfectly fine. From what I still think he's far ahead of his development.
Yeah.
From where they got him. I will give you an idea of how bad I think the Chargers offensive line is. I think Byron Young had some good plays.
Yeah. Jordan Davis wrecked in this game, too.
That's what I was going to say. So in terms of things I wanted to talk about very quickly, and then I got to get out of here because I got to finish watching the defense, and then run out of BGN. So life is busy. In terms of the big picture takeaways and the 3 things I saw, the Cuba DeJean, unbelievable in the slot in this game. There is a rep, by the way, with Lab McConkey, where he runs and runs a double move on Quinion Mitchell. And when I say Quinion Mitchell basically laughs him out of the club, it's like Quinion Mitchell's covering a 5-year-old. And Lab McConkey's really good. And Quinion is literally I can't believe you're doing this. It's genuinely hilarious. How good Quinion is at the moment in certain reps. Big takeaways for me. are 2 members of the secondary and a certain linebacker. I hit the 2 members of the secondary. Marcus Epps, could he have started this year? I don't know. He looked good. I'm telling you, he looked good. And obviously, you don't want him to, but the Makuba injury looks a lot less painful with Epps playing rather than Sidney Brown.
Yes.
I'm glad I've held out because I've always loved Marcus Epps. Going back years, I never, ever thought the Eagles should have lost him. I think he's a bit like Blankenship, and he's just a really good scheme fit. I think Adoree Jackson looks physically better than he's looked all year. There was a short pass that he blew up, and he just came downhill, and I was like, that's a guy who's confident. There was times that Quinton Johnson ran him down the field, and he was step-by-step with him, and I was like, okay, Eagles CB2 isn't a huge issue right now. He's significantly better than the others, and I think I watched him in the offseason and said I thought he was still good enough to play, and then he started this year, and I was like, wow, got that wrong. And now I'm like, maybe I was all right after all, because I think he is genuinely playing quite well the last couple of weeks, and it may not last. But the other thing I wanted to mention was the Eagles need to get Nakobe Dean off the field in certain situations. And Dean had a problem in coverage last year. And whenever someone gets injured, they always come back and everyone forgets their negatives. You only ever talk about the positives. He was bad in coverage in 2024. There were times in 2024 I didn't like his coverage. His blitzing is like the best I've ever seen anyone ever at linebacker. The blitzing is unbelievably good, and I get why the Eagles want him on the field, but his coverage is poor. Yes. And it's not just poor, he looks a little bit lost.
He was responsible for that 60-yard play.
He was indeed. Drive. And last week, the Bears killed him with motion and misdirection in the run game as well. And I don't even particularly think his run game stuff was that good in this game either. So then you end up with a linebacker who's an unbelievably good blitzer. As I said, the best in the league at his position. But he's struggling a little bit with other stuff. And that makes you a little bit predictable at times. So I think the Eagles need to start going to a bit more of a timeshare and trying to get some more Campbell reps, because there are going to be times in obvious passing situations where I want to see Dean more. And that is all I've got to say. I don't know if there's anything else on defense that particularly stood out to me. Brandon Graham played a lot of defensive tackle. Fine. He was a body there while Jalen Carter's out. Nolan Smith still, to me, isn't popping post-injury. Again, just numbers were really good this game. 6 pressures, but again, Chargers offensive lineman just didn't pop on film. So yeah, interesting. For me, it was the secondary that stood out. Even though the pass rush was unbelievable, I can't help but feel like that's part of a consequence of who they were playing.
Yeah, those two things often go together. Like, I mean, it's funny how when you have a good pass rush, your coverage looks better, and vice versa. So, I think so. Long term, let's end on this, Johnny. Long term, as in like the rest of the season, I think the Eagles' defense is going to continue to be good. Like, you're going to get Jalen Carter back. You've kind of fixed the safety 2 thing with Makuba out. So I think the defense has the potential to be really good. The lingering thing I'm concerned about defensively is defending runs from condensed formations, which they've struggled with. And by the way, like every other NFC playoff team does a lot, the Packers, the Rams, the Lions, the Bears, like you're going to have to face some of those teams in the playoffs if you were to make a run. But I think the defense is going to be good. It just all comes back down to the offense like we've talked about. And I guess I see individual things in the offense that I'm like, that's it. That's good. Let's build off of that. Let's get Lane Johnson back. All of those things. Let's use Hurts more as a runner in the playoffs. But with each week that goes by, I just become less and less confident that they're actually going to flip that switch.
And I think overall, I'm not saying I'm confident. Like I'm saying there is good stuff there.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like, just lean into it more, and I'm squinting, and I'm like, it's there. I can see you do it. Just do it a bit more. But yeah, who knows? I think we'll get a pretty good message in the next couple of weeks for the playoffs. I think we'll know pretty easily what they do. Yeah. Like, I want to see them beat down on the Raiders. I don't want to see a conservative game plan, like win by 3 because the Raiders can't score points. I want to see the offense really open up, but we'll see.
The offense is going to score a touchdown on their first 3 drives, and then they're going to park the bus and end up winning 21-17 after they go 3 and out 9 times in a row or something. That's the official prediction.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, all right. Well, that's kind of where I'm at. Like, I'm not a doomer that like the season's over. I still think a lot of the changes are easily able to be made offensively, and they don't require reworking everything. It's just if they're going to do it, and we're going to know, like you said, over the next few weeks, getting into the playoffs because you beat the Kenny Pickett Raiders and the Marcus Mariota Commanders is not going to impress me, but
you can still see how they want to play.
You can continue to evolve offensively, where I can walk into the playoffs convincing myself, you know what? I think they've got a shot to go on a run. And so that's kind of what we'll be looking for over the next few weeks as we look at film. And thankfully, next week is a Sunday game, which is like the first one in forever, it feels like. So we'll actually have normal time to prep, which will be fun. And we'll break it all down for you guys. But Jonny, before we get out of here, any final thoughts from you?
No, don't think so. Let's just hope this team can lean into what's good, because it makes our lives a lot more interesting to see some new stuff. Maybe that's why I was more excited this week. I was just like, oh, something new. At times, on like 20% of the snaps were new anyway. The rest of it was same old.
Yeah. So, all right. Well, that is going to do it. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. I will have this episode up in Patreon later with the better layout and audio stuff and ad-free if you want to check it out there. My past game review is complete. It's the longest one of the year. I think it was like 48 minutes. I went through more clips than I usually do, talking through all the plays we talked about and quite a few more. Also, the player spotlight for Jalen Hunt is out there. Jonny will have his preview up later this week. So come and check all of those things out on Patreon at patreon.com/EaglesFilmRoom. You can grab a free 1-week trial of any tier. We think you'll like it and will want to stick around. That really helps us out too, by the way. So thank you guys for watching, and we will catch you guys next time. Go Birds.